Good afternoon, race fans. It's the moment we've been waiting for since we took the green flag at Daytona to start out the season. This is race number 26 of Season 3 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series, the final race of the regular season. Once the checkered flag flies here today, the 16 drivers, they will be known that will be battling it out for this season's championship in a 10-race shootout. 3 rounds to get to the final round of the Final Four. This is going to be a wild one because I've been looking and scanning and perusing over the point standings coming into this race, and it is going to be a lot of scenarios to try and cover here when we get to the end of today's 60-lap venue. There are 18 former winners up inside of the top 30 in the standings right now, and remember, only 16 get into the playoffs. A lot of the drivers that we will be focusing on during the course of the day include Jordan Lopez, Carter Friesen, Nathan Ormond, Jacob Thibodeaux, and Carson Gum. The reason being, right now, Thibodeaux and Gum, two-time winners, of course, Gum getting his second win of the season last week at Bristol Dirt, they're inside the top 30 in points. So right now, they would leapfrog everybody else in the standings that have one win. Nathan Ormond right now would be technically situated 18th in the playoff seed. Carter Friesen would be placed 17th in the playoff seed, and Jordan Lopez would be placed 16th in the playoff seed. But Lopez and Friesen are only separated by 8 points, so that could go one of either ways. J Qualls, K Batson, R Brommer, they're also pretty close there to Carter Friesen. Friesen's within striking distance of Qualls by 9 points. He's within striking distance of Batson by 11 points, and he's within striking distance of R Brommer by 12 points. So if Brommer, Batson, Qualls, or Lopez have a bad day today, they could fall down to around the 17th seed. And bear in mind, all of this only takes place if Carson Gum and Jacob Thibodeaux remain in the top 30 in points. Right now, the gap for them back to that cutoff line of 30th, Jacob Thibodeaux, a meager 6 points ahead of the cut line. Carson Gum, only 4 points ahead of the cut line. So, boy, it's going to be crazy to see what these drivers do here today. And we have to throw in the potential spoiler of a driver possibly getting their first win of the season if William Brock, Benny Watson, Austin Kolano, Patrick Smith, Cole Deaver, or R Acosta, if any of them win today, automatically they get a spot in the playoffs and another driver would be eliminated. So we're going to try and keep abreast of all of these scenarios here today. We're going to go down trackside now and get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Phil Parker lines up on the pole position. I'm looking here. He could maybe, with a win, play spoiler, but it would all depend on how many points he gained. And he'll start alongside of Matthew Rodriguez, who comes into this race ineligible, even with a win, to make it into the playoff grid. Let's talk about a couple of other scenarios coming into this race. Hometown boy Charles Sandfer, what if he got a second victory? Would he be able to make it into the top 30 in the points for it to count towards a playoff spot? Because remember, if he gets in the top 30 in points, 2 wins, leapfrogs all the other drivers with 1 victory. Well, he's currently 34th in the point standings, comes into this race a total of 25 points, back from 30th in the standings. So is it mathematically possible? You bet your boots it is. So Charles Sandfer in a must-win situation. And we also got to congratulate Jack Mitchell. He's going to be making the playoffs for the first time in his career. He comes into this race 53 points over William Brock for the overall points lead. No way mathematically anyone can challenge him for the top position in the overall standings for the regular season. So Jack Mitchell will be heading into his first playoff berth with 10 extra bonus points, winning the regular season championship. 60 laps of racing here today at the Auto Club Speedway. We're going to see them 3 wide, 4 wide, maybe even 5 wide. It's going to be a crazy race to finish out the regular season. Will we see a lot of cautions? Can this race come into a pit stop, like a green flag pit stop strategy? Only time will tell, as Phil Parker's Mustang, Matthew Rodriguez's Camaro lead us down. Green flags in the air. Let's roll in the season finale for the regular season. You're going to see a lot of these guys try and get up here to the front, talking about those guys that are in the scenario coming into this race of whether they'll make it in or not based on where they are in points. They want to get the bonus point for a lap led at least, as William Brock goes to the lead. Benny Watson into second. That's second and third in the points. A win. It's an automatic ticket for either of those drivers into the playoffs. As there's contact further back, that was Carter Friesen and Mitchell Collins getting together. They saved it though off of turn 4. A lot of drivers want to run right up against that outside line going into the corner, be able to drive it deep into turn 1 and into turn 3. But they also run the risk of kind of brushing up against that wall, and that could kill some of their momentum, as we're looking at Carson Gum. Two-time winner this season, winning last week at Bristol Dirt, of course winning the season opener at Daytona. I failed to mention last week, that's back-to-back wins for Backmarker Motorsports, as Vince Almariego, his teammate, won at Pocono. Carson Gum winning last week at Bristol. The third overall win of the season for the Backmarker Motorsports team as well. Phil Parker, pole sitter, back to the inside of William Brock for the race lead. Carson Gum, Benny Watson side by side back there as well for what would be third. And Charles Belding is now going to make it 3 wide, maybe 4 wide off of turn 2. See Nathan Hudson back there in the 24. I'd keep an eye on him because the last 2-mile speedway we were at was Michigan. That's where he picked up his first career victory. Hudson comes into this race locked in. So we talked about the drivers that, they're kind of right on the precipice of maybe making it, maybe not making it. So who is in at this point in time? Well, taking the green flag, Jack Mitchell is locked into the playoffs. So is Zach Rogers, Jose Millz, Dylan Young, Matt Haas, Levi McIntyre, Cody Llamas, Austin LaPlante, Vince Almariego, all locked in. Nathan Hudson, if he continues to run up there, I think he's only got to finish like top 25. He'd be locked in. Ryan Brommer, Keith Batson, J Qualls, if they can finish up inside the top 20, they should be okay to make it in as well. Carson Gum's got to keep himself in the top 30 in points now. 28th in the stands, and we mentioned the fact he is only 4 points ahead of the cut line. He'd love to get a bonus point here for a lap led, but rookie Phil Parker denying him at least that time around. Carson drives it in deep. We'll see if he can clear the 74 off of turn 2. He'll try and tuck right up in front. Not quite clear. Parker is still to the right rear quarter panel. Carson Gum last week finished 1-2 with his Backmarker Motorsports teammate Cole Baker. You can see the Arizona green number 11 there on that inside line, right now in about the 7th position. Cole Baker's another of those drivers. Should he win, he would not get into the playoffs. He's currently 36th in points. As Carson Gum did lead that lap, we should document, so that's a bonus point for him to keep him ahead of that 30th in the standings cut line. What about the other driver that was very close to the precipice of that cut line? Let's see if we can find him. Talking, of course, about the 33 of Jacob Thibodeaux. I see him right there. Right now in the 26th position. And the drivers he needs to worry about are Carson Gum, Jesse Turner, and Kyle Mathews. Those are the guys that are just behind him in the standings. Trying to see if I can find Kyle Mathews. There's Mathews in the 09. And where is Turner? Turner, I think, must be running ahead of Thibodeaux right now. There he is. Currently in the 15th position. Notice Jack Mitchell back there running 40th, dead last, just kind of riding at the back. Probably just trying to keep his car in one piece. He already knows he's won the regular season championship, so he can kind of go outside the box maybe here. Run towards the back, save a little bit of fuel if this thing goes into a long green flag run, save his tires a bit. And try and see if maybe here in the last race of the regular season he can pull out his second career victory in the Duracell Cup Series. Phil Parker's been doing a pretty good job here as a rookie, staying out in front. A lot of drivers have made challenges to the inside, but this is a track that can really allow both lanes to work inside and outside. And while Phil has left the door open for drivers to make moves on him, he's been able to battle back and take the lead back away as Benny Watson now goes to the point. Little help there from Cole Baker. I was actually looking at some interesting storylines as well that we can even start talking about maybe at this point in time, even though we haven't gotten to the conclusion of this race. But if Ryan Acosta does not win today, he's up almost inside of the top 10, but if he does not win today, then we are guaranteed a new champion here in Season 3. Chris Dollerton won the championship back in Season 1, failed to make the playoffs in Season 2, did not run here in Season 3. Ryan Acosta, of course, the defending champion of this series, but unless he gets a victory, he is not going to be in the playoff grid this season. And what I noticed was that the two former champions may not make it into the playoffs, but the two former runner-ups look like they may make it into the playoffs. Looking for some redemption. Carter Friesen finished 1 point behind in the Season 1 championship to Chris Dollerton. Right now, he could be in line for making it into the playoffs as a former winner this season. And last year's runner-up, Ryan Brommer, who lost the championship to Ryan Acosta by 7 points. He is a winner this season at Texas, and right now he is running in a playoff position. So, very interesting that currently the two former champions would not be making it in, but the two former runner-ups in the championship are currently in line to maybe go for some redemption here and try and get a championship of their own. We talk about the defending champ. There he is, Ryan Acosta, now going 3 wide for the 4th position with Nathan Hudson, Aaron Macklin, a couple of rookies. So don't count him out. I mean, he last year got his victory that got him into the playoffs in race 22 of the season at Martinsville. Maybe he's waiting a little bit longer. Maybe he wants to make it really exciting here, but it is a must-win situation for the defending champ if he's going to try and go for 2 back-to-back championships in a row. A couple of other guys back here that if they win, they're into the playoffs as well. We've already talked about Benny Watson. How about that bright orange Wheaties Chevrolet of Cole Deaver? Deaver with a phenomenal run last week at Bristol Dirt. The whole rear end of that car was gone, but he still brought it home inside of the top 10. He's up to 14th in the standings coming into this one, so a win would be an automatic ticket into the playoffs. And another driver that we didn't really talk about, we should actually mention this, is N Ormond. Ormond comes into this race currently 26th in the standings, and we mentioned that right now, based off of the 18 drivers inside the top 30 in points, he's seated in 18th, but if he gets a second win here today, we've talked about the leapfrog. He would leapfrog all the other drivers with 1 victory, so it would be an automatic playoff berth for N Ormond if our Bristol winner would be able to pick up a second win here today at Auto Club. There's Carter Friesen in the 37. We talked about both he and Ryan Brommer and Jordan Lopez. All 3 of them really having to have good runs today to keep themselves up there in the standings. Right now, Carter's running in 15th. You got Ryan Brommer just behind him there in the 9, running around. Actually, Friesen's up to 12th now. Brommer, I think, is around the 16th position. And Jordan Lopez is now up inside of the top 10 in the 9th spot. So all 3 of them doing what they've got to do. The thing now that they're hoping for is that we have either a repeat winner here or a driver that is not going to be able to get up in the top 30 in the point standings with a victory. And Matthew Rodriguez would fit that bill, 31st in the points coming into this race. So a couple of guys that they do not want to see win up here towards the front, like would include Ryan Acosta, N Ormond would be another. I believe also William Brock, who's currently running inside the top 10 there in around the 8th or 9th position. He also would fit that bill. They don't want to see any of those guys go to victory lane. Ryan Acosta is going to get to the inside of Matt Rod. He's going to go to the race lead, but still a long ways to go in this one. Next time by, it's going to be a total of 45 laps to go. I mean, so far we've been able to keep it green, which means that these drivers are going to start having to look at green flag pit stops in the near future. And it'll be interesting to see when they come to pit road, because I don't know if we're looking at a 1-stop or a 2-stop. If they make it to lap 30, it's a 1-stop. If they pit any time before that, it's more than likely going to be a 2-stop race. That puts a lot of pressure on drivers as well. Ryan Acosta going to get a lap led, but he doesn't need to lead laps. He needs to lead the last one. Hudson into second. trying to go for 2 wins at 2-mile speedways here in his rookie season. N Ormond now going to move into 3rd. It's a lot of drivers up here that could play spoiler up here inside of the top 10. Jacob Thibodeaux has now worked his way up into the 9th position, battling there with Cole Baker. So right now, he is looking like he would remain in the top 30 in points. And Carson Gumb's not that far back either. Carson right now in the 16th position. So the 33 and the 19, a couple of 2-time winners down near the cut line, doing exactly what they need to do here in this race. Mentioned about Jordan Lopez, Ryan Brommer, Carter Fries. Another driver that was kind of in the scenario of needing a good run to stay up there in points is J Qualls. Right now running in the 24th position, so not a bad run for him. Marcus Saatchi, I think another driver we need to document as well, 32nd in points. Former winner, so if he were to get his 2nd win of the season into the top 30, again, kind of pull a N Ormond or a Charles Sandfer. And leapfrog everybody and get back up there into the playoff grid. But it is a must-win situation as well for the 21. Same for the 03 of Charles Sandfer, who right now not running the best in front of his home crowd. We're currently in the 26th position, but still a long ways to go. You can't count anybody out in this race. I want to drop to the back here, just see some of these guys that are riding. V Almariego already knows he's locked in. Same for Dylan Young. They're running currently in the 32nd and 33rd positions. Matt Haas also locked in, 8th in the standings. He's back here in 34th. Austin LaPlante's currently locked in. He's in 36th. I think he may have a little bit of right side damage as he drives by us there through turn 2. And still just riding at the tail end of the field, the points leader and regular season champion, Jack Mitchell. I think he's got some kind of trick up his sleeve right now. Single file amongst the top 3, almost the top 5, is Phil Parker stepping out of line. You've got a Toyota, Chevy, Ford, your top 3 with Acosta, Hudson, and Lopez. All 3 of which a victory would automatically lock them into the playoffs. Be the first for Acosta this season, 2nd for both Hudson and Lopez. And Phil Parker had a lightning fast lap time in qualifying on the pole position, and he has really not dropped outside of the top 10 all day long. So in terms of the strongest car, I gotta think we're looking at that 74. Lap 20 is going to be complete. These drivers, if they can make it 10 more laps on this tank of fuel, then it will be a one-stop race. You just hear the scraping there of the drivers going into turn 1, and if you look carefully, sometimes you can see sparks coming off of the right rear corner panels as they make their way down the back straightaway. Right there, if you look closely enough, you saw a little bit coming off of Phil Parker. There you see right there, clear shot off of Ryan Acosta. Now that doesn't really hurt the race car, and I think we got pit stops. Ryan Acosta looks like he's waving his hand out the window. He's coming in. This is on lap 21 as Matthew Rodriguez, T Wright, Ryan Brommer also on pit lane along with him. Benny Watson, Dylan Young, Austin LaPlante, Kyle Mathews, and Michael Norman. You can see for LaPlante and Mathews, they've got some damage, so they got the wall pretty good when they brushed it. But for some of those others, if they just have the right rear flare make some contact, it's not going to really cost them that much in terms of aerodynamics and speed. What I would worry about, though, is for some of those guys like LaPlante and Mathews, it's going to spend them a little extra time on pit road. That's going to spell into them losing positions on track as Phil Parker's coming in along with Lopez and Brock. N Ormond's going to lead a lap as he will stay out. I believe Cole Baker stayed out with him. Also staying out were, I believe that was Keith Batson, Aaron Macklin, Jacob Thibodeaux, Levi McIntyre, and Patrick Smith. So that's 7 drivers that are still yet to pit. But even if they pit now, according to my calculations, nobody will be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel if this is indeed the furthest they can go. These drivers are going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 laps short of making it to the, I'm sorry, no, 20, I got to work my calculations here. 12 to 14 laps short. 12 to 14 laps short of making it the rest of the way. So this is the first of at least 2 pit stops they're going to have to make if we remain green to the end, as N Ormond is in. He'll hit the pit sign perfectly, and they'll go around. I believe this is going to be a 4-tire stop. I can't see at a track as abrasive as Auto Club that you wouldn't go with a 4-tire strategy here. And Ormond's going to be down and away. There's a potential exchange for the lead, and that just shows you the difference of new tires to old tires. T Wright was one of the first ones onto pit road. He just blew around his teammate Jordan Lopez, and this could put the 28 out in front. So there is something to be said for short pitting, no doubt about that. As T Wright right now in the 8th position, he's got to make his way around N Ormond. Actually, he's got to worry about Matthew Rodriguez. This is the potential battle for the lead right now, and I believe they just passed the 41. So they are now battling for the race lead, Matthew Rodriguez and T Wright. And Matt Rod's going to edge ahead here going into turn 3. Field's going to get spread out now, so this is going to make this very interesting. They're not all going to be pack racing, at least not just yet, after different drivers pitting on different laps. So we're going to have to keep an eye up here at the front, at least, on that 28 of T Wright, because if the calculations are correct, he's going to be back on pit road somewhere around lap 43 to 45. And that should be his final pit stop of the day. That will again begin the start of green flag pit stops for what will be the last time in this race. And it's what we would call the money stop. So as they run right now, T Wright going to the lead. He's getting some help there from his Blue Oval Automotive teammate Jordan Lopez. He'll move into second, Will the 38. Matthew Rodriguez in third. Ryan Acosta in fourth. Right now in the 5th position is pole sitter Phil Parker. 6th is N Ormond. 7th, Jessica Shelton. 8th is Zach Rogers. 9th, N Hudson. Right now completing your top 10 is Ryan Brommer. 11th is Keith Batson. 12th, Carson Gum. Jacob Thibodeaux, 13th. 14th place, Levi McIntyre. 15th, Johnny Gardner. 16th is Charles Sandfer. 17th, William Brock. 18th is Cody Llamas. And completing top 20, Patrick Smith and Michael Norman. 21st is Aaron Macklin. 22nd, Cole Baker. 23rd is Ryan Butcher. And we are under caution. Rest of the top 25 were Charles Belding and Dylan Young. I saw the caution lights on. It's our first caution of the day here at Auto Club. And a lot of drivers are going to breathe a sigh of relief that we're way back from the lead. This is going to bunch everyone back up. Looks like an incident going into turn 1 is going to bring out the first caution of the day on lap 26. This may stretch the fuel window for these guys a little bit further now, with them maybe be able to save under pacing, so we may look at maybe lap 45 to 48 for these drivers to still have to pit. If they pit now, they cannot make it the rest of the way, so I don't think we're going to see anyone come to pit lane under this caution. And it looks like it could very well have been our Kentucky winner, Matt Haas, who may have brought out this caution. And he may have had a little help with 2-time winner J Millz as well, our Pensacola Road Course and Martinsville winner. The damage is on the left side of that IK9.com Ford Mustang. I didn't see really any visible damage on the 8. And there's another driver up here with some damage, Austin Kolano in the 81, so he may have been collected up in this as well. Kolano coming into this race with his own little battle, only 2 points back from rookie points leader Patrick Smith in the rookie standings, but we'll see if they can get that car repaired and get him back out there. Looks like Millz is also going to come to pit road in the 98. So as his teammate leads the way, Jordan Lopez out in front. Let's go back and see what brought out the first yellow flag of the day, nearing the halfway point. Side-by-side battle just outside the top 25, and you can see right there J Millz was kind of crowding Kolano up into the wall. Then Kolano brushes the wall, bounces off it a little bit, and he's going to spin the 98 around. Kolano going to get pretty good contact with the left, right, and rear of his Turtle Wax Toyota Camry. A lot of the brunt of the impact for J Millz was to the left side, and fortunately everybody was able to avoid. We did not have any plows or anything like that, so that was very fortunate. It's one thing that can happen here at Auto Club. drivers not slowing down, and even though it's a very wide track, somehow someone always manages to clobber a car that may be sliding down the banking. But we didn't have that here. It was only a 2-car incident, bringing out the first caution of the day just after the first round of green flag pit stops. Let's go back for the green flag. Green flag's going to come out right at the halfway point. We'll go back green on lap 31, the conclusion of lap 30. So these drivers, they will be looking somewhere around lap 46 to 48 is what my calculations are showing, where they would probably make their last pit stop of the day if we manage to go green to the end. But we are into the second half of this race, and everybody is lined up nose to tail. All 40 cars still running, all 40 still on the lead lap. So the pack racing is going to be back again. It'll be interesting to see if the aggressiveness gets turned up to 11, perhaps. I mean, they were wild at the beginning portions of this race, but somehow they were all able to keep it under green flag conditions. It'll be Jordan Lopez showing the way. The guy who came into this race for our scenario in the 16th position in points as far as the seeds are concerned. He'd love to get a second victory to confirm himself a spot in the playoffs. Matthew Rodriguez lines up second, Ryan Acosta third, Phil Parker fourth, Shelton's up to fifth, Rogers in sixth. That's a couple drivers we haven't really talked about today. Now they've got a shot at the win. Keith Batson's now up to seventh, eighth is Nathan Ormond, Nathan Hudson in ninth, and completing the top 10 is Ryan Brommer as the green flag is back in the air on lap 31. See Shelton looking to the inside of Phil Parker. That's for fourth. Matt Rod to the inside of Lopez on those fresh tires. He's going to go to the race lead. See Shelton back there making moves. Now, the good news is she's in position to maybe win a race. The bad news is it wouldn't get her into the playoffs. A lot of drivers came into this race. Even if they won, they would not be in the playoff grid. Shelton fell into that category along with Cole Baker, Charles Belding, Aaron Macklin, T Wright, Johnny Gardner, Mitchell Collins, and Matthew Rodriguez. I believe Kyle Mathews and Jesse Turner also fell into that category, which is a tough break for Turner, who will end his streak at back-to-back seasons, season 1 and 2, that he took part in the playoffs. He will probably not be in the playoffs this season. Matt Rod gets away. Battle now between Shelton and Batson for second. Keith Batson, our Watkins Glen winner 3 weeks ago, trying to get his third career win, second of the season, comes into this race 17th in points, so right now looking good to make it into the playoffs. We talked about Shelton. Here comes their teammate, Charles Sandfer, must-win situation. He's up in the top 10 right now in 7th, following behind two-time winner Carson Gum. Carson Gum and Jacob Thibodeaux still up here towards the front inside the top 10, doing exactly what they've got to do. Keep themselves in the top 30, and those 2 victories they've gotten during the course of this year will put them into the playoff grid. Oh, we got a car around! That's Thibodeaux! Big wreck in the back! Phil Parker, Marcus Saatchi, James Qualls, Jordan Lopez involved, Ryan Butcher as well, and I know it started with the 33 of Thibodeaux. Zach Rogers, Benny Watson has received damage. T Wright, there's the 33 of Thibodeaux. A big wreck in turns 3 and 4 puts us under the caution for the second time today. And this changes up a lot of different playoff scenarios. Thibodeaux could not afford this. He came into this race just a mere 6 points ahead of 30th in the standings, and if that car's not able to continue or is off the pace, he could be in big trouble. And this caution still does not put us in the fuel window for drivers to be able to make it the rest of the way. They'd still be about 2 laps short if they pitted now, unless by some miracle they'd be able to save a lot of fuel, or maybe be able to have a couple more cautions to save fuel before the conclusion of this event. But it looks like some drivers are going to come to pit road nonetheless, including the race leader. Charles Sandfer, Cody Llamas, William Brock, and others are going to pit. This is going to turn the race lead over to the 39 of Keith Batson. I don't know if some of these guys might not be smart to maybe pit on the second lap of caution here. It would put them at least closer. It would put them about maybe a half lap short, and that'd be easier to save than 2 laps. We'll document that when we come back. A lot of drivers did pit. Looks like we've got about 10 drivers who did not come to pit road. We'll come back and see if they come to pit road on this second lap of caution. But right now, K Batson shows the way at Auto Club. Second caution of the day, and this time it was a big one. And it started with Thibodeaux, and there you can see it right there. It looks like he kind of crowded Zach Rogers up into the wall. This started before they even got to turn 3. And there's just nowhere to go for some of these guys. Lopes, all crunched up. I'd be worried about him right now as far as his chances of making the playoffs. M Saatchi never slowed down. He got into J Qualls. Qualls slides up. Oh, wow, that's a hard impact with the front of his Toyota Camry into that outside wall. There is Ryan Butcher in the 78. M Saatchi, his playoff hopes could be gone getting involved in this wreck. Benny Watson, same for him. I don't know if that car is going to be up to speed, and he's in a must-win situation. And Phil Parker, pole sitter today, who's been running up at the front all day long. I don't know if he got involved in the wreck, but he certainly had to slow up and lost a lot of positions because of it. Don't really see any visible damage on that Old Spice Ford Mustang, but boy, I'd be worried right now if I'm J Qualls and Jordan Lopes, though, because those are 2 drivers that were right on the cusp. Qualls came into this race, I believe it was 15th in the playoff seeds. Lopes 16th in the playoff seeds, and if we have a different driver go to victory lane here today, then those guys, they may be battling for that final playoff position. Oh, we do have some left side damage there, and Phil Parker didn't see it on that last camera angle. So that brings out the caution for the second time today and changes up a lot as far as the scenarios we're looking at for the playoffs here in this regular season finale at Auto Club. Let's go back for the green. Let's see who's got enough fuel to make it. The strategy is hot and heavy now with about 25 laps to go. Well, all I can say is if this thing goes green to the end, buckle up tight, folks, because this is going to be a crazy last couple of laps. 10 drivers stayed out. They're thinking they can save enough fuel here under pacing to be able to make it the rest of the way. The green flag is going to come out with 23 laps to go. That puts us in our fuel window. The drivers were coming to pit road around laps 24 to 26 during the first round of green flag pit stops. So we know they can make it at least 24 laps. But bear in mind, these guys here, they've been out there a couple of laps, so they've used up some fuel. They're expecting another caution. Everybody else behind them, though, if you go back to around the, I think it's right here, the 12th position, it might actually be Nathan Hudson there in 10th, might be the first car that came off pit lane. These guys, they're banking on it going green the rest of the way. If they save a little bit of fuel here under pacing, they should be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel, so you got different drivers with different scenarios. We do have one driver out of the race here, and that is Jordan Lopes. So right now, Lopes is the biggest fan of someone like K Batson or Carson Gum or maybe even V Almariego to go to victory lane. He needs a repeat winner here today in order to keep his playoff hopes alive as the green flag is back in the air. 23 laps to go at Auto Club. And of course, we will drop towards the back here as we get a little bit longer into a run to see about some of those guys that may have damage. Because there are a couple of them back there that also play into some playoff scenarios, including the 54 of J Qualls. Shelton to the lead. That inside line's really good on initial starts with the tires cooled down. Is Carson Gum now going to look to the inside for that top position? Trying to be a 3-time winner, joining Dylan Young this year. Car hardened the wall back there. That was Nathan Ormond, and he is going to the back in a hurry. And the way they're racing, we may not have seen our last caution of the day. They are 3 wide, 4 wide back there in the mid-pack area, leaning on each other. There was contact right there between Cody Llamas and Jack Mitchell, who for the first time today is up here inside of the top 10. He spent most of that first run running in the 40th position. Last time by, crossed in 13th. I think he's now cracked the top 10. So keep an eye on him in the closing stages of this race. Look at them, 4 wide, 5 wide back there. That's Matt Haas hitting the wall because of it. He was the top of that 5 wide formation coming off of turn 4. As Keith Batson continues to show the way here in the 39 machine. Caution is out. The caution is out. I did not see the lights on, but the pace car down there getting ready to pick the field up. It's our third yellow of the day, and it must have happened towards the back because I didn't see it, and I didn't hear it either. And so now the question is, for all these guys that stayed out, do they come to pit road this time? They'd be good to go on fuel the rest of the way, or do they stay out and try to save? It's like it may have been T Wright in the 28, bringing out this most recent caution. There you see J Qualls. I mean, that car does not look pretty, but if he can keep it on the lead lap, maybe pick up a couple of spots with drivers getting involved in wrecks in these final 20 laps, trying to keep his playoff hopes alive. And here's your answer. All those drivers that stayed out, they were banking on a caution. They got it. They're now going to come to pit road. Question is, what about these guys back here that pitted under the last caution? I mean, do they come down? Matthew Rodriguez was part of that group that pitted on the last caution, and it looks like he is going to come to pit lane. Jack Mitchell, on the other hand, what's he got to lose? He's going to stay out. He'll gain track position. He's already got the regular season championship locked up. He knows he's locked into the playoffs, so why not roll the dice, huh? So he's going to be the race leader when we go back green. Looks like a couple of others also staying out with him, including Austin LaPlante, Charles Belding, A Kolano, K Mathews, R Acosta, and Mitchell Collins. So we're going to have a different looking top 10 when we come back for yet another green flag. Let's go back and see what brought out this most recent yellow. There's an old saying, cautions breed cautions. We ran about the first 25 laps clean and green. Since then, 3 yellows, and this the most recent. This was coming off of turn 4, and you can see right there, J Millz kind of overdrove the exit of the corner, hit the wall, came down into T Wright, who was coming off the corner exactly the way he needed to, and more damage to the 33 of J Thibodeaux. He was involved in the last wreck, was running towards the back of the pack, and damage to the hood is going to make that car even worse aerodynamically. And little by little, J Thibodeaux, his playoff hopes are seeming to start to go away. I mean, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a look later on at where he is in relation to others, if he is still running or even if he's out of this race. Boy, that'd be a tough break for a guy that has had such an up and down season. Got a win early on in the year at Las Vegas. Later on, found himself outside the top 30 in points. And then a few weeks ago, hit a stride where he jumped back up in the top 30 in points. And after all that hard work, it'd be really tough for this rookie if he ends up missing out on the playoffs, getting involved in back-to-back wrecks. We're going to get the restart with less than 20 laps to go. Question is, will we complete it under green? So the lights are not out atop the pace car yet. They probably will be next time by, but we're going to take the opportunity here of this pacing lap to document the situation that J Thibodeaux currently is in. Thibodeaux is right now running on the lead lap still in the 38th position. J Millz is actually back out on track as well. He'll be 39, so we still have 39 drivers still running on the lead lap. But for Thibodeaux, right now he has to worry about 3 drivers in particular, possibly 4, that would knock him out of the top 30 in the standings. They would include Carson Gum, Jesse Turner, K Mathews, and Matthew Rodriguez. Right now, the gap between him to Matthew Rodriguez is a total of 9 points. Let's see where those 4 drivers we mentioned are currently running in relation to the 38th position that Thibodeaux is currently in. First one we would notice would be up here. That would be Jesse Turner. Right now he's in 21st. According to live points, he would be ahead of Thibodeaux. Carson Gum right now in the 17th position. He currently would be ahead of him in the point standings. Matthew Rodriguez, there he is, 31st in points, running in 11th. And K Mathews, who stayed out, he is right now in the 5th position. So as things stand right now, Thibodeaux would be outside of the top 30 in the point standings. So he needs Turner or Matthews or Matthew Rodriguez to run into some kind of issue here in what would be the final 17 laps of this race. That's when we go back green. Jack Mitchell stayed out. He's the race leader. Austin LaPlante in 2nd. Charles Belding 3rd. A Kolano 4th. 5th is K Mathews. 6th, R Acosta. 7th is going to be Mitchell Collins. Those are the question mark drivers on whether they've got enough fuel to make it to the end. They may have pitted back on the last caution, so they might actually be right borderline of being able to make it. Everybody else behind them we know can definitely make it because they all pitted under this most recent caution. Keith Batson lines up in in 8th. Cole Baker in 9th. Adam Garcia right now in 10th. I mean, Garcia, first time we mentioned his name today, and he is the last driver who has run every single Duracell Cup Series race yet to take a checkered flag. Could today be the day? Could we see the winless streaks of Charles Sanford, Jack Mitchell, Vince Almariego, and Adam Garcia all take place during the regular season here in Season 3? We'll have to wait and find out. Right now, one driver that is running very happily with the situations that have happened is Carter Friesen, because as of right now, Friesen in the 25th position still would be in a playoff position. The reason being, Jacob Thibodeaux currently running outside of the top 30 in the standings. Nathan Ormond has also had some issues today, and he's running ahead of him, which is what he needed to do. And of course, with Jordan Lopez out of the race, that gives Friesen some breathing space as well. James Qualls also able to have a little bit of breathing space with the 38 out of the race. So right now, Friesen and Qualls look like they could be in the playoffs right now. Green flag back in the air. 17 laps to go at Auto Club. Furthest up to the front, we've seen Austin LaPlante here today, trying to get his 3rd win on the season. He's already locked into the playoffs. 2 wins on the year, 11th in the standings. As Mitchell starts pulling away, but here comes Austin Kolano. Remember, he's battling with Patrick Smith for the rookie points lead. He might take it after Auto Club if he continues to run where he is, but he's got that left side damage there. I don't know if that's going to affect him or not. That's left side damage that he got from our second caution when he and J Millz got together. Apparently they did not repair that. As now Charles Belding's going to move into the 2nd spot, and he's bringing the defending champion Ryan Acosta along with him. First car up here on fresh tires would be the 39 of Keith Batson. There you see him to the inside of Kolano for 5th. This is side-by-side for 2nd, though, between Acosta and Belding. And I believe Ryan's going to win that battle, as he really was able to put the hammer down there on the inside of turn 3. Belding, though, back around the outside of turn 4. "15 laps to go here at Auto Club. Can we make it the rest of the way under green flag conditions? I believe everybody is good to go on fuel, and I say believe in air quotes because those 7 drivers that stayed out, I'm not sure. It all depended on, if they pitted under the caution before this last one, then I think they're okay. But if some of them stayed out on both caution periods, then I would be a little bit worried. Ryan Acosta, former champion, trying to get to the inside of this season's regular season champion, Jack Mitchell. Not able to do it off of 4. Mitchell holds court at the front. Ooh, got the wall there. That kills his momentum going into turn 1. Acosta's going to try the bottom again. Meanwhile, we talk about drivers up here towards the front we haven't talked about all day. How about the 18 of Michael Norman? Michael comes into this race 23rd in the standings, and with the situation of Jordan Lopez out of the race, I'm not so certain Michael Norman with a victory couldn't get a last-minute spot in the playoffs. Crossover there by Charles Belding. He'll move to the inside, give draft to Ryan Acosta. That might allow Acosta to clear Mitchell going into 1, and it will. So Acosta goes to the lead. Look at them slipping around here. That's K Mathews. Way up the track there as he was 3 wide with Norman and LaPlante. Michael Norman is flying. He's now up to the 4th position. And we're going 3 wide for the lead. Mitchell on the bottom. Belding in the middle. Acosta way up topside. Middle line looks like it's going to get the advantage off the corner. Belding to the front. 12 laps to go at the line as it's Belding leading the way. Now Acosta crosses him over to the inside. We're going to drop to the back real quick. We got to document a couple of guys back there. Thibodeaux in the 33 and Qualls in the 54. There's Qualls in 39th. With Lopes out of the race, I mean, he's going to be able to stay ahead of him, but I think for Qualls right now, he's hoping that we don't have a first-time winner. There's Thibodeaux in 37th, and a lot of the guys that he is trying to stay ahead of in the point standings are running up here towards the front. Jesse Turner right now is in 6th, so that's bad news for him. We know already that Matthew Rodriguez is up here, K Mathews is up here, right now in the 9th position. Not sure where Carson Gum is currently at. Actually, Matt Rod has fallen back a bit too. There's the 57 right now in 23rd, which is still 10 points ahead of Thibodeaux, who came in only 9 points ahead of Rodriguez. So right now with where Matt Rod's running, he's ahead of Thibodeaux in the points. And Carson Gum is up here right now in the 12th position, even with some right side damage there. Front of the field, Ryan Acosta showing the way. And so, like I said, James Qualls maybe a little bit nervous. I think right now what he's got to worry about is Carter Friesen. Friesen and Qualls, the gap between them was 9 points. So if Friesen passes Qualls, that might put Qualls in the 16th seed. The good news for Qualls, though, is if Thibodeaux gets eliminated, then Qualls would be in. If Thibodeaux is outside the top 30 in points and Ryan Acosta wins, I believe Qualls would still be in. Of course, remember, a lot of times it's happened where in these finales, I try and calculate in my head, and then we get to the actual point stands and I find out, oh, this person that I said was definitely in, they were not in. So, do not take everything that I say at absolute face value. Wait until the points at the end. I'm just trying quickly in my head to do calculations and figure things out. How about Cody Llamas? We talked about Michael Norman working his way up to the front. His teammate also doing the same. Cody's up to the 7th position now. Cody Llamas was a two-time winner last year. He's got a victory this season at Fuel Motorsports Park. So it looks like he is definitely in good shape heading into the playoffs. As Jesse Turner looks to the inside of Michael Norman. That's for 4th. Mitchell looking to the inside for 2nd on Belding. And all of this is going on right now behind the race leader, Ryan Acosta, who is looking to... I mean, this is like a Hollywood movie right now. Looking to the last minute to make it into the playoffs to defend his championship from last year. But he's going to have to hold off Charles Belding, Jack Mitchell, and a host of others. Another car that's really flying through the field, and that's Carson Gum. 8th place, and he caught these top 7. So what has that Toontown rewritten Chevrolet got for the rest of the front runners? We got a slow car that they're going to have to deal with, I think, before this race is over, and that is a teammate to the 10. That's James Qualls in the 54. And I think they're going to catch him within the next lap or two. 3 wide for 2nd. That's Turner with a big run to the bottom. Mitchell in the middle. Belding up topside. Belding with that great run off of 4 goes back to the runner-up spot. And a lot of the battling's been for the 2nd position, not really for the race lead. We've got to see if Belding's got a car that can get up here and challenge Acosta. Acosta's brushed the wall there going into turn 1 a couple of times. I would have thought that Belding would utilize that. Maybe try and make a move on the 10, losing some momentum, and now he's going to have his hands full with Jack Mitchell to the inside, so a couple of Camaros battling it out for the runner-up spot. Again, like I said, I think all these guys are good to go on fuel, but we are entering into the area now where if any of these guys are anywhere short, we'd be seeing them ducking onto pit road now in these final 5 laps. There is Qualls just now exiting out of turn 2. You see the leaders back there in the background. Closing in quickly, about half a straightaway behind him. Question is, which lane does Qualls take to maybe get out of the way of these guys? Obviously, he is off the pace. Looks like they may catch him here on the straightaway, which might not be such a bad thing for some of these race leaders. Look at Belding. I think he's trying to use him as a pick. No, Belding's on pit road. Belding couldn't make it. Belding's on the pit lane. And now that throws up a huge question mark for the rest of these drivers. Ryan Acosta, can he make it on fuel? A playoff position depends on it. Belding couldn't. Oh boy. Is it going to be another classic fuel strategy race at Auto Club? Ryan Acosta spent a good portion of this last run out in front, and I think he's bailing out. I think he's pitting. No, he's not. Okay, it looked like he was slowing and pulling down towards the inside line in 3, but no, he is staying out still as he sees 3 laps to go. Jesse Turner now there trying to get around the 10 car as Belding completed his stop. Tough break there for Charles Belding. The rookie was en route to a top 5 finish, but it's not going to happen as Turner trying to get to the back bumper of Ryan Acosta. If Turner wins, he doesn't make it into the playoffs, but he denies Ryan Acosta a chance. And look at Acosta running low. Now I figured it out. I was wondering why Acosta was running down there. We got more drivers pitting. Mitchell and LaPlante. And correct me if I'm wrong, those are a couple of the guys that stayed out there under the last caution. So they could not make it. 2 laps to go here for Ryan Acosta, but back to what I was going to say, what I was going to say was the reason Acosta was running so low down there in 3 and 4 was not because he was pitting. He was trying to run a defensive line and not allow anybody to the inside of him. So that makes sense. Now Michael Norman moves up here into 3rd. Could he get a last-ditch effort? Look at this! They're going to go 3 wide maybe for the race lead. Coming to the white flag, Acosta, Turner, and Norman. For Acosta and Norman, a playoff spot could be on the line. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go here at Auto Club. Acosta showing the way, maybe. Is he going to get the wall? He is. Contact between himself and Turner. He's got to keep himself to the outside of that 47. He's got Norman battling with him for 2nd. Turner clears. Jesse Turner trying to deny both Norman and Acosta a chance at a playoff spot. Jesse Turner down into 3. Slower traffic in the way. Off of 4. Jesse Turner's going to get his first win of the season here at Auto Club. Denies Ryan Acosta and Michael Norman a playoff spot. And I don't think Jesse Turner would be high enough in the point standings with this win to get a playoff position, but he gets a checkered flag to end out the regular season nonetheless, and so close for the defending champion Ryan Acosta, but he will not be in this season's chase for the championship, nor will Michael Norman, who were both right there, less than 0.3 of a second away from the race winner. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Turner gains enough points. Maybe the point standings were close enough where he'd be able to get up there ahead of somebody in the standings. I mean, I'm looking right now. Maybe he could be ahead of Jordan Lopez. What was the gap between those two? Turner came into this race a total of 52 points behind Ryan Acosta. No, 51 points, I'm sorry. That's not possible to make up. Most points you can gain in a race are 47 if you lead the most laps, lead a lap, and win the race. So that shows to me that he is just short of making it into the playoffs via the standings and this victory. But maybe I'm wrong. Well, I got to start working the calculator here. But look at that. Michael Norman and Ryan Acosta, they had a drag race between the two of them. 2 1,000ths of a second separation for second place. Norman over Acosta. Carson Gum, he's in the playoffs. He needed a good run today to keep himself in the top 13 points after his second win last week. 4th place does it, so the Daytona 500 winner will be in the playoffs this season. Top 5 completed by Cody Llamas, who's also locked into the playoffs. Charles Sandfer, close, so close to pulling off a last-minute second win of the season, but I don't think 6th place is going to get him into the playoffs despite his ISM win. Keith Batson, he's locked in, though. He'll finish in 7th. Jessica Shelton brings it home in 8th. Matt Haas, he's locked in with 9th place. And Adam Garcia there in 10th. Carter Friesen needed a good run today. The hardships of J Qualls and Jordan Lopes certainly helped, so I believe he is locked into the playoffs. R Brommer's locked in with his 12th place run. William Brockle finished 13th. He was in a must-win situation. Dylan Young, 3-time winner. A little bit better momentum for him than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. So Dylan Young, maybe, just maybe, might be getting himself ready for playoff competition, as he will be the number 1 seed going into the chase. And K Mathews completes top 15, so you had 3 of your S3 Motorsports cars up there in the top 15. Other drivers we know for certain with where they finished are going to be locked into the playoffs. Vince Almariego in 16th, he's going to be locked in. Levi McIntyre 21st will be locked in for sure. Looking down through the remainder of some of these other drivers, N Hudson 28th, he came into this race 15th in the standings. I think he still will be locked in. Zach Rogers, we know, was locked in. He was 4th in the standings, even though he finished 30th. J Millz, 2-time winner, up there in points, 5th in the standings. He's going to be locked in 31st. Marcus Saatchi, not the run he needed. Got caught up there in one of those wrecks that over there in turn 3. He won't make it into the playoffs. Jack Mitchell, I mean, he tried something. He's going to get the regular season championship nonetheless. So, I mean, why not go out there? If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, oh well. You're still going to get 10 bonus points towards the playoffs. He'll finish in 33rd, but he's already locked in. Jacob Thibodeaux is the big question mark because he is going to finish in 34th. And a couple of guys had to pit there in the closing stages, including LaPlante, Belding, and Parker. He was able to pass those guys, so I don't know. We'll calculate here in a minute, try and see if he stays in the top 30. Benny Watson there, tough break. He was a must-win driver. He finished 35th. And then drivers that could not make it on fuel had to pit in the closing stages, included Austin LaPlante, although he's already locked into the playoffs, a 2-time winner. Charles Belding was running up there in the top 10 most of the day. He's going to finish 34th. Qualls in 38th. We'll have to see if he stays up there in a playoff spot. I think he does, but we'll have to wait and see. Phil Parker started on the pole, and things just kind of really went south for him during the course of this race. He'll finish in 39th, and Jordan Lopes is going to finish out of the race in 40th. Question is, did that 40th position knock him out of a spot in the playoff grid? Obviously, all those questions will be answered in just mere moments. I'm going to be stepping aside, working the calculator, and we will find out those 16 drivers that indeed will be battling for the championship this season. But hope you guys enjoyed today's season finale from Auto Club. It was a wild one. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you full feature results, and here come your point stands and your reformatted playoff points heading into next week as the chase begins at Richmond. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of this rate, Offline Racing at its best. The playoffs for the Duracell Cup Series Season 3 begin now.